Okay, if I were on the board of Cadbury, I would not approve a bid of over 4 billion for Adams. Even though that they do see value of 5.6 billion, many portions of Adams are declining faster than the industry average, such as their sugared gums. And if they bid more than 4 billion for Adams, they're going to have to increase that 7% growth plan that they have for Adams. And they've already never hit 7% before in an acquisition, or the growth after an acquisition. So I'm not confident that really that they can even hit that 7%. So just increasing that would make that even harder to hit, and less likely that they're going to have a successful merger and acquisition after that. So I would not approve more than 4 billion for that bid.
So Cadbury Schweppes' original interest in Adams came from a bigger is better thought process that might not hold true when the time of the merger actually came to fruition. They thought confectionery was very fragmented and that acquiring Adams could help them become a dominant player in a lot of markets where they lagged behind companies such as Nestle, Mars, and Hershey. And those companies were thought to be more likely to win the Adams bid than Cadbury Schweppes was. We are really skeptical of their synergy plans and if that's a good strategic fit. They're not the strongest player in the markets that Adams dominates well. So while this would help increase the global footprint of the Cadbury Schweppes brand, it would not allow them to minimize their operations and logistical footprint to really see the cost savings versus the other companies. So they really don't have a large overlapping footprint in their dominant markets. Also, there's a large change management cost and necessary time to get all of these new synergies in place. And we don't think they fully accounted for that piece of the puzzle. Their upright time was very short. They also usually bid base value plus 50% of the cost synergies for the acquisition. But for this bid to be successful, they believe they'll have to go even higher, which puts their cost savings and potential new margins at risk. So there's really no guarantee that they'll be up to the increased 5% sales and the timeline they need to be successful, which could really hurt the business in the long run.
Based on our analysis, we would not support the acquisition. Given the immense time and use of resources that are required just to analyze the deal and put a bid together, coupled with Cadbury's limited chances of being selected as the winning bidder, the process of competing for the acquisition does not make sense. In a broader sense, the synergies associated with the deal are not significant enough to warrant the acquisition. There are several other companies such as Hershey's that would have stronger synergies than Cadbury, and for those companies, it makes more sense to pursue the acquisition and they'll be more motivated to win the bid. Several of the identified synergies are extremely difficult to implement, and the ones that are easier to implement often don't provide as much value. It is our recommendation to the CEO and board that Schweppes forego the planned acquisition strategy and instead focus on identifying a more practical and manageable vision for the company. Additionally, several of the synergies identified are not viable. For instance, one of the synergies relies on the new company creating a more centralized organization like Adams. It'd be difficult for Schweppes to gain the financial benefits of the streamlined organizational structure because up until this point, they've operated as a completely decentralized organization. And it'll be extremely difficult to create such a cultural shift quickly. About 70% of the cost benefits would come from centrally controlled initiatives. And since the culture at Schweppes has always promoted a decentralized organizational structure where each location operated autonomously, it is not practical to think that the combined organization would achieve these synergies and the projected benefits.